The Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres gets it done by unanimous decision over his very dangerous opponent in Daniel Pineda. Omar, why don't you start us off? By the way, the scores were 29-28 across the board from the judges on this one. Do you think the judges got this one right? And what was your reaction to Caceres' winning performance?
I gotta be honest, man. As I'm watching that performance, I can't remember what round Pineda won because I feel like Bruce Leroy beat the shit out of that kid for a good majority of that fight. I mean, the body kicks alone were disgusting.
Pineda had his moments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pineda
oh
won
no,
round two.
he was a dog for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
He out-grappled him for almost the entirety of round two.
Okay, all right. The stand-up though was wild to me, absolutely wild, and I don't know. I mean, we've always seen an active Alex Caceres. We've always seen a long Alex Caceres. But there was real purpose behind his movements and behind his strikes in this one. He was making a lot of nice quarter turns, a lot of nice body shots, a lot of the reads from the opening of. I mean, how many body shots do you need to take before you start blocking any of them? You know what I mean? Pineda was just give me one more, dog. Hit me one more time. And just eating body shot after body shot. And, credit to Pineda for being as tough as he is, because you could see, especially towards the end of that fight, you could see him get hit, and he just stands there almost like I don't know what name that was, Luke Rockhold, and just okay, yeah, you got me there, and then just kind of puts his hands back up and just keeps going. And I think it's safe to say 99% of people in that same position would be on the ground, minimum, trying not to puke.
Totally.
So I give credit to Pineda, man, because he ate more than one of those types of body shots, especially in that last round. It was an absolute beating, and not even. I mean, Alex even hit him to the body with punches, and nice, beautiful shovel hooks to the body. It was. They were beautiful reads from Alex Caceres, and maybe he has found something, man. Because to be honest, I think it's probably the best striking we've seen from him, and that's saying something coming off of that win he just had against my boy. What's his name? Help me. Tall kid, kicked me in the face. Thank you. Yes, Julian Erosa. Yeah, and he looked great there. But I thought this was a bit more of a complete story, right? Much more telling as far as over 3 rounds. How can he do with the striking, and what could we really see? And he's made some real improvements, and it's not really necessarily to his technique, but how he executes it. And he looks great. I mean, I'm excited to see what's next. I really didn't see that amount of technique and purpose out of him before this fight. It was great.
Awesome, man. Mark, bringing you in here, what was your reaction of Caceres getting it done by UD?
This was a hell of a fight. I loved this fight. The grappling exchanges in particular were so fun to watch. It was just constant motion. The armbar that Pineda hit in round 1 that Caceres had to wriggle out of was nuts. But I really enjoyed this thing. In our picks, I took the shot on Pineda, and it's mainly because I thought he wouldn't respect Caceres' power and that he would get inside. And in round 1, it certainly did not go that way. Pineda struggled a bit dealing with the range, and honestly, Omar kind of touched on this. I think we may need to realize that Caceres' power has taken a leap. He is hitting dudes hard in a way that he hasn't historically. He's 34 years old right now. Usually guys maybe hit their prime a little before that. I think we're kind of entering the prime of Alex Caceres. It seems like his game is peaking in a lot of ways. But he had Pineda rocked pretty bad in round 1. And then round 2, Pineda did come back, and in that round, it honestly went exactly how I thought it could. Pineda did start crashing inside. He was making sure he closed the range. He took it down. He was using his physicality, and he won that round. It was 1-1. He's got the momentum on his side in round 3, and then just immediately to start round 3, gets fucking wrecked with a body kick. And that sucked away any momentum that he had for himself. Just a massive strike for Caceres. And it changed the whole fight because, as Omar was kind of alluding to, Pineda never really recovered. Like, he ate it, and he was like, I'm still here, but he was not the same guy. after that. And then he got hit with a few more and a few more. I mean, there was like 5 to 10 huge shots from Caceres. Not all to the body, but I'm saying in general, huge shots in round 3 that landed for Alex Caceres. And Pineda was just gritting through it. He's a tough friggin' dude. But Caceres got it done, and he looked really, really good. Sort of similar to Omar. I mean, the finish in the last fight was the most gorgeous thing I've probably seen Caceres do. But I might even be more impressed by the performance in this fight. Caceres has always been a guy where I'm like, oh, the right kind of fighter could, Caceres doesn't match up so great with certain kind of guys. And now I'm like, fuck, he's really rounded out this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his scrambles too, I thought were really interesting. Like we've seen a Caceres that likes to play on the ground, has no problem playing on his back and things like that. But again, I thought he had a lot more purpose here, right? Like if you watch, every time he went down to the ground, he was always trying to get on top, trying to get an advantageous position so that he could start raining down punches. At no point was he like not doing something from top. He was continuously trying to strike and continuously trying to land damage. So I don't know what's changed with him. I really don't. Maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe it's something he's finally gotten to click. Maybe he joined a gym that works or a coach that works for him. Whatever it is, like Mark said, this might be the peaking of Alex Caceres. This might be his time. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's next for him because he looked great, man.
Yeah, and he's won 7 out of 8. That's a quiet 7 out of 8. He's been winning, but 7 out of 8 is a lot.
Yeah, but he's starting to beat guys too that have a little bit more. Like he's always been there, right? He's always been there. He's always been fighting, but the resume, while long, isn't necessarily very strong, right?
Agree.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even have him ranked. I have him 22. The
but
UFC has him jumped up.
He's stringing together people who have some names, right? They're not like high up on the list, but these guys have a little bit more name value than I think some of the other guys if you look down his resume list here and there. Yep. So,
right.
He's got to keep winning, man. He's another one of these guys sometimes that has a bad habit of getting to a big moment and shitting the bed. So I'm hoping that he gets that big moment once again because he's gotten a few, but I just hope this time around he can capitalize and make the best of it.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about where we would match him up with, who he would match up with next at featherweight in the UFC. Omar, give me a name for Mr. Bruce Leroy. Is it time for him to kind of jump up and take a pretty big fight?
I would imagine so. I mean, I would think that at this point he's probably knocking on the top 15. I don't think he's there yet.
He's ranked. He's 15.
Oh, wow.
Did they rank him?
He was ranked going into that fight. He was 15 going into that fight. And he's still 15 today. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I was saying, that I have him lower than the UFC does, yeah.
Okay. Oh, son of a bitch, that threw me all the way off. Because I was going to have him... Hang on a second. Mark, why don't you go first? Get in there.
So, it's tough because I'm almost second-guessing myself because we're talking about this run he's on and how maybe he deserves a name, but it's really hard at featherweight because if you look at these UFC rankings, he's 15. All 14 names above him are like, oh, fuck, that dude is, really legit. So it's kind of, I don't know that it feels like he should be fighting one of them quite yet. So I feel a little bit bad. I think I'm going to make him win one more fight to fight one of these guys. Lerone Murphy, who is still undefeated, is fighting Josh Kulabau. They're both, in my own rankings, ranked very close to Alex Caceres. I think the winner of Murphy and Kulabau could make sense for Caceres' next fight. And then the winner of that one gets themselves into a big one. I don't know. It's too hard for me to say Caceres should already be fighting like a fucking Bryce Mitchell or someone. I don't know.
That's where I'm at, baby.
Yeah.
Give him Thug Nasty.
If you had to pick one, that's who it feels like it could be. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's going to fight Mofsar at this point. I mean, is Evloev really going to wait for Bryce Mitchell to figure out whatever it is that's happening? I mean, they had to reschedule that fight, like a month ago, I want to say now at this point. Maybe a little bit longer.
Yep.
So Evloev, I'm assuming, wants to get moving and get his shit going. And with Alex Caceres just finishing his fight now, I think there's probably timeline-wise things that make more sense for him to fight Bryce going forward as opposed to Evloev.
Okay, what about Daniel Pineda? gents?
He ain't ranked.
I will say if Nate the Train loses to Dan Ige this weekend, which we're going to talk about in a little while, I think that Pineda and Landwehr is a crazy fight that I would love to see. And honestly, I guess if Ige loses that fight, that could work just the same. So I guess I'll say whoever loses that fight for Pineda.
Love it. Omar?
I guess just because of Pineda's style and the violence that occurs and the fact that he's coming off a loss, why don't we throw him at the damage? Let's give him the damage, and let's just see pure violence. How about that?
Oh, man.
Don't hate it.
That would be rough.
Darren Elkins for those who are the uninitiated.
The uninitiated.
That's what I was going for with Landwehr was the pure violence, but like
Yeah.
same box checked with Elkins.